What's happening, guys, and welcome to today's session. In this session, it's a bit of a brief overview as to who Darwinex is, who Darwinex Zero is, who I am, and what we do, and how we can work with traders. Now, if you've been to one of these sessions before, you'll probably know what I'm going to cover, but it's always great to have a little bit of a refresher session. As we go through, if you do have any questions, just pop it in the Discord chat, X chat, YouTube, whatever software platform, social media you're watching this on, just drop a comment and I'll be sure to go over it during the session. Now, as I say, it's a bit of a bird's eye view overview as to who we are and what we do. It's not going to go into too much depth or detail on more complex topics such as risk, exposure, value at risk, unless you guys ask me to. I like to keep this session very, very chilled. And then our Thursday session, which we do at 4 p.m., called Understanding Your Darwin, that's where we take a look at some of the more advanced topics or more confusing topics, shall I say. My name's Kieran. I'm head of UK growth and business development for both Darwinex and Darwinex Zero. And if you aren't aware, Darwinex, which is our kind of parent company, is a regulated asset manager and broker. We also have just acquired our hedge fund license, and we're regulated in 3 different jurisdictions. So we're regulated by the FCA in the UK, by the CNMV in Spain, and also by the FSA in the Seychelles. Currently got over 100 million US dollars invested in the platform by third-party capital. Now, what do I mean by third-party capital? I mean investment outside of Darwinex's capital. So we do invest in our traders, but we also have outside capital come through the investor marketplace, and investors can allocate capital to your strategy. And as of right now, we also have over 11,000 active trading accounts on both Darwinex and Darwinex Zero. Now, what's important to note with these presentations is I do collectively bring the data together for both companies. So we have Darwinex Zero and Darwinex. I will get into the differences between the two as we go through the presentation, but the service is practically the same with a few different nuances, which again, I will get into. Now, Darwinex connects traders with investors. Our main job is to give you guys a platform to access investor capital where you don't have to worry about regulation, cost, networking with investors, finding investors. You just trade, you take the best positions that you possibly can, and we do the rest. We do all the heavy lifting when it comes to raising finance and raising capital and building or getting the software for you to allow you to build your track record. Again, we own asset management licenses regulated by the FCA in the UK, CNMV in Spain, and the FSA in the Seychelles. So we allow you to kind of jump on that and piggyback our regulation or our licenses to be able to offer I can't even get my words out today. I have got another coffee here, so I'm hoping this coffee allows my speech to flow. But because you're piggybacking on our licensing, it allows you to actually handle capital from a regulated perspective, because if you're not aware, taking on capital without being certified or qualified or having the correct regulation in place is illegal in most jurisdictions. So be mindful of that. Now, you might be asking, what is Darwinex? So Darwinex is a place where we've basically taken the notion of a hedge fund and we have tried to digitalize that. Now, what we've seen over the past 10 years or 15 years or so is a huge digitalization of the trading industry, period. So now to trade, you don't have to pick up the phone and phone your broker. You don't have to work in the city. You don't have to be, in the pits with a runner doing all of your positions. You can open a brokerage account within 10 minutes, deposit some money, and click buy or sell, and you can manage your positions from your phone, from your laptop, wherever you may be. So the industry has moved such a huge way in such a small space of time. Now, when it comes to professional asset management, that's not really changed unless you're working in the city or you have connections to wealth managers or high net worth individuals. It's likely that you're still trading either a small personal account, maybe some funding companies, or any brokerage account that you can get, basically. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to be the first and be the leaders in the space to digitalize asset management, or professional asset management at least. So Darwinex is a place where you can become a professional asset manager and access third-party investor capital, again, through our licensing, taking on our investors under our regulatory cover, and using our infrastructure. We give you enough tools to develop as a trader and to build your own fund. So technically, you're the manager of your own hedge fund eventually, if you get to the point where you start Darwinex Pro. And you can access the service using either a live account or virtual capital with zero risk. Again, going back to my initial point, I'm going to highlight the differences between Zero and Classic, or Darwinex versus Darwinex Zero, shortly, so that you're aware of the pros and cons of trading with either. Now, as we are mentioning Darwinex in this presentation, I do have to put in a risk disclaimer that CFDs are complex instruments and come with a high risk of losing money rapidly due to leverage. 65% of retail investor accounts lose money when trading CFDs with Darwinex, so you should really consider whether you understand how CFDs work and whether you can afford to take the high risk of losing your money. And our virtual accounts, however, are provided by Darwinex Zero and do not access your live funds. Now, here's where we're going to take a look at the difference between Darwinex and Darwinex Zero and how one might suit you better than the others. So the main goal for you as a trader is to scale your assets under management. How are you going to do that? With investor capital, right? That's the pot of capital that is infinitely scalable. Now, obviously, you're going to have to jump through leaps and bounds to get there. You're going to have to build up your track record. You're going to have to stay consistent. You're going to have to prove that you can trade long term. But you can do that through Zero or through Darwinex, and it makes no difference. We provide you with the same infrastructure. There's no preferential treatment to either Zero clients or Classic clients. It's exactly the same. You get DarwinIA allocations on both, which is our short-term incentives to keep you performing and to be able to pay you along the way until you reach the peak of the mountain, which is investor capital, and even the Darwinex fund, which we'll come on to shortly. Whilst you build your track record. Now, the main difference, or the only difference really, is how you pay to access the service, right? Darwinex Zero is subscription based, so you can pay €38 a month to access the service and you get everything included. You get your track record, you get all your trading journals, which is hopefully something that's going to be released soon. You get all the capital allocations, you get to use our regulatory cover to take on investor capital, and everything that comes with being a Darwinex Zero client. Now, with Darwinex, instead of paying a monthly subscription, you just open a live brokerage account and you trade through our broker. Now, as any broker in the world, of course, we take a commission on trades because that is the broker business model. Now, that basically negates the need for you to pay for a subscription. So if you're a little bit more advanced and you prefer to trade with your own capital and you say, I don't really want to spend €38 a month to do what I want to do on my own money anyway, well, cool. Darwinex Zero probably isn't the service for you. However, Darwinex, if you're already trading with a personal account, why not trade through Darwinex and get exposure to all of the great things that we have without having to pay a single penny? Because if you're already trading through a different broker, whoever it may be, I'm pretty sure they're not offering you DarwinIA allocations or something of that nature and access to investors without having to lift a finger. I just have a question in the Discord. I'm not even going to try to pronounce that because it's Zoaxito. I mean, I tried anyway. I have 30k capital from Darwinex Zero, and in an MT5 I have a 100k account that I trade with, 30k or 100k. So your Signal account, which is the 100k account, is the account that you're going to trade with forever. The 30k capital, which I'm presuming is DarwinIA allocation and not investor capital, that's held at Darwin level, which is held under Darwinex's regulatory structure. So it's held by us as a company. So even though you have 30k AUM, that doesn't go into your Signal account. You still trade your 100k account as you normally would, and we copy the trades to that 30k capital. Again, going back to what I say, the Darwin is under our regulatory cover, so we risk adjust all of your trades and copy it to your AUM, basically. So whether there's 30k, 300 or 3 million, we copy your trades from your Signal account to that account. You don't ever physically see the money in terms of trading with it. You'll see it on your dashboard, but you don't see that money ever enter your account. Now, going back to the mountain, again, you might be a trader who goes, well, I'm not 100% sure on my edge. I've only been trading for 6 months, 12 months, 24 months, however long it may be. I don't really feel comfortable opening a live account and putting my own money at risk. I would rather pay €38 a month. Well, then great. Darwinex probably isn't the service for you. And we're okay with that. So why not come and test out the waters with Darwinex Zero, and Try it for 6 months. Maybe if you don't get the results that you expect, you can either start again or restart your account and build your track record again from fresh. It's completely your choice. There is no kind of preferential treatment. As I said, from us as a company, we will treat you the same whether you're a zero client or a classic client. It is literally just a different way to pay for the same service. Now, the only caveat to this is our permanent allocations, which is, as it says on the tin, an allocation or an investment into you that doesn't expire. That is only available on Zero. That is the only caveat out of everything that I've said thus far. Everything else is available to both clients. Now, your roadmap to becoming a professional asset manager with Darwinex. Like I said at the beginning, I'm not going to go too in depth with the explanation on the risk engine or value at risk or any of the complex things that we throw at you at Darwinex. Today is more of an introduction. It's more simple. So we have a proprietary risk engine that watches all of your trading behavior and copies your trades to your Darwin that's held under our regulatory control. We copy and risk adjust all of your trades. Now, the calibration phase is an initial period where our risk engine looks at your trading behavior and understands at what exposure level you operate at. Okay, and we do this by measuring something called value at risk, which again, I'm not going to explain today. We then risk adjust you so that the stability of your strategy is in line with the S&P 500's volatility. So that an investor who's buying into your strategy knows that the maximum downside, or the maximum volatility, I should say, is only going to be the same as if they invested into the S&P 500. But again, enough of that. That's too complex. We're putting that on hold for Thursday. If you want to hear my explanation on those more complex topics, then make sure you come back to the session on Thursday, or feel free to watch one of our recordings on X or YouTube, because every session that I do is always uploaded to X and YouTube for you to watch at a later date. Now, the calibration phase should take roughly 1 month or 30 days. When you come out of the calibration phase, which I should note is not a pass or fail assessment, there is no way to fail the calibration phase. It's literally just for our risk engine to understand your trading behavior. You then become eligible for permanent allocations and DarwinIA allocations. DarwinIA is just our monthly program or monthly leaderboard that is ran through all of our clients, which is where you can earn allocations and earn performance fees. The first level of DarwinIA is silver, which is where the majority of traders are housed. And then the pro traders, the ones who built a track record of 8 months plus and have hit certain performance requirements, then get moved to DarwinIA Gold. The allocations in DarwinIA Silver are provided on a monthly basis. And they range from 30,000 euros all the way up to 375,000 euros. We roughly put out about 40 million in DarwinIA allocations every month. So we do allocate a huge amount of our traders. I think off the top of my head, last month there was about 1,300 or 1,100 traders that we actually provided funding to out of the 8,500 all competing in DarwinIA Silver. Now, these allocations last for 3 months and they are cumulative. So they can stack month on month, but they do drop off after 3 months. Now, in DarwinIA Gold, once you've been promoted to DarwinIA Gold, they now last for 6 months and they range from 50,000 euros all the way up to 500,000 euros. Again, they are cumulative. So if you're still performing well month after month, your allocations can stack up, but they will drop off after 6 months. Now, in tandem with that, we do have the permanent allocations, which I've already semi-explained, which is where you can activate the permanent allocation add-on, choose a growth target, or choose to have it activated instantly, and then you can earn performance fees on that 100,000 euro permanent allocation for the rest of time, unless you restart your account. If you restart or close your account, that 100,000 euro permanent allocation will vanish. It will go. It will end. That's the only way it will end. There's no drawdown limits on that. There's no time limit. So you just take your time, consistently hitting a new high watermark high over the weeks, months, years, and you will always earn performance fees from that. The next step in the roadmap to becoming a professional asset manager is the investor marketplace or the investor capital. So once you are in DarwinIA Gold, your Darwin is then open to investors, which means it will automatically be added to the investor marketplace, and investors will be able to look at your track record and allocate capital to you. Now, this is all done automatically. You don't have to go out and network. You don't have to bring investors to DarwinX, although you can. You obviously you have to be careful what you do from a regulatory perspective and how you advertise your strategy or Darwinex, but you can bring investors to the marketplace. Again, all the discretion and decisions is given to your investor, so they decide how much capital they want to invest, how much leverage they want to use, who they want to allocate capital to, and at what percentage or portion of their portfolio they want to provide to each trader. That then brings us on to the last step on the roadmap, which is the index or the Darwinex hedge fund. Now, this is something that's been going on for a long period of time, but is soon to be open to the public. Now, the index is currently listed on Bloomberg, so we have the infrastructure set up already, and we have AUM in the index already trading. Now, what we're trying to do here with this is to raise a lot of capital to flow into the index, which then flows through all of our traders. So currently, I think we have over 100 traders or 100 Darwins in the index. So it's basically a diversified portfolio of our top 100 traders as a very base level look into what the index is. And we operate as a hedge fund. So we allocate the capital out from Darwinex Labs, which is our hedge fund management team. We allocate the capital to the traders and we adjust if necessary based on performance. You will just see an investor in your Darwin, so nothing needs to change from you, nothing needs to happen. You will just see an investor come into your Darwin saying Darwinex Labs, X amount of dollars or euros or whatever currency you're setting, and you will earn performance fees from this again. This is huge for us moving forward because it really does show how our interests and values are aligned with our traders. There's, to my knowledge, no other broker or no other asset management firm out there who's actively showing publicly as well who we're investing in and the amount of capital that we're investing with. We don't trade against our traders. We don't have a B-book functionality. We don't want our traders to lose. We are genuinely looking for the best trading talent that's out there in the market because we want to capitalize on those traders. We want to provide you with allocations and with capital so that you can earn performance fees and so that we can bring investors to you and scale your strategy. It benefits everybody. Investors are getting great strategies to invest into. Traders are able to scale, and for Darwinex, our hedge fund becomes successful, and again, we are allowed to scale. If you're already trading with Darwinex, you'll probably be aware of the flow of how everything works. But if you're not, this is just a bit of a visual representation into what you should expect or what you should expect of how things work. So you have a trader, which could be you. You then sign up to Darwinex or Darwinex Zero and you receive a trading account. It'll either be MetaTrader 4 or MetaTrader 5, or you can trade futures on Darwinex Zero through Interactive Brokers. Sorry, through Darwinex through Interactive Brokers. Those trades from that Signal account then go through our risk engine. Our risk engine does not change a single thing when it comes to the trade. The entry, the exit is all exactly the same. When you're in the trade, your Darwin will also be in the trade. The only thing it will change is the position sizing of that trade. Because if you're trading with a ridiculously high risk, the risk engine will probably tune that down and provide it to the Darwin at a risk adjusted level so that it's similar to the standard volatility of the S&P. On the flip side to that, if you're trading with really low risk, and your value at risk is really low, then the risk engine might actually tune you up and increase your position size at Darwin level. You then have your Darwin, which is what connects to your investors, your DarwinIA capital, your permanent allocations, and the index fund. However, again, this is held under Darwinex's regulatory oversight or compliance. So you don't physically see any of these AUM in your own pocket. You trade your Signal account and it's all copied automatically. You'll see it on your dashboard and you'll see your performance fees in real time. However, you don't physically get to touch that capital because it's held by us. Now, just to go back to the index, I actually really should update this image. So let me grab a new tab up just so that you guys can see index, because the performance is higher since. So we're currently sat at 213%. So I think this, what was this? So 205. So we're up almost, 8% since I took this screenshot. The track record is since 2020. So it's a 5-year long track record. It's done 205.83% compounded returns since inception. It's going to be opening soon to investors, and I have redacted the AUM just because it's not live to the public as of right now. However, when it becomes live, I will therefore show the AUM that we have because it will be available on Darwinex anyway. Now, the thing that's great about this is because it removes any element of decision making that an investor will need to make. They don't have to go on and analyze specific Darwins. They don't have to watch the P&L swing highly. They don't have to do anything. They invest in the index and they sit back and have it managed for them. Because it's diversified, the P&L swings would be much lower. Yes, the return will probably be slightly lower because you are diversified, but also your risk is mitigated to a huge degree as well. So it's providing investors with a full-scale solution that still benefits our traders because the capital will flow through to you naturally if you have a great track record with Darwinex anyway. Now, if you do want to learn more about who we are and what we do, I suggest following our social media pages. So we do have a TikTok. We have a Discord, which I really recommend joining. We've almost hit 10,000 members. I think we're literally like less than 50 members away. And it just seems the closer we get to 10K, the more it slows down. So anybody who could join would be really appreciative. But it's where you can access me, other members of the team, and some great members of our community who probably know the product as well as I do. So if you ever have any questions about how things work, Discord is probably your place to go to before you think about going to support or YouTube. Jump in the Discord, ask a question, and you'll generally get an answer pretty rapid. We also have an Instagram, YouTube, and X account. And I am trying to put out as much content as possible as of right now, just so that I can bring all of the complex topics that we go over on a Thursday, put it into bite-sized information so that you guys can watch a 30 or 60-second video and understand exactly what is going on and what you need to know moving forward. So finally, I just want to say thank you. I am going to check the Instagram just to see that there's been no comments because Instagram generally doesn't notify me. So let me just check that now. Perfect. There's been no comments on Instagram thus far, which I didn't expect it to be, but there's been a couple of times where I've missed one. So I always have to make sure now. But guys, we will be back tomorrow at 4 p.m. UK time for a strategy development session, which is where I do pretty much an hour just analyzing Darwins and looking at trading behavior and seeing how traders can improve. I do this every week and they're really well received. I love doing them. It's my favorite session of the week because we can just dive into statistics, data, and just talk trading. So if you want to be around for that, it's 4 p.m. UK time tomorrow. Again, all sessions are recorded and put on X and YouTube for you to watch at a later date anyway. And then we'll be back on Thursday at 4 p.m. UK time to do the Darwin explanation or understanding your Darwin session, which is where we go over things like risk and all of that sort of good stuff, but we do it in more detail so that you get the complex information all given to you in one go. So with that, guys, I'm going to wish you all a good night. Have a fantastic evening, and I will catch you in the next session. Bye-bye.